Paved with good intentions. Oh, I see. We're taking a break from philosophy. We're going to learn about road making. That'll be nice. Nice change of pace. I'm sorry, that was a stupid joke. Here we go. Okay, so we're going up against the best philosopher ever. Yeah. It would be also kind of mean for us to like say which philosopher is better than another, right? That's kind of mean. So he went with most challenging. So here's the most challenging. Oh, Immanuel Kant. Ooh, nice. He is a genius philosopher. And here I thought Nietzsche was going to be the final boss of the game. Although I guess his arguments are a little similar to Hobbes, who we dealt with earlier. Because they both believe that life is terrible, it's awful, it's nothing but suffering. Oh, but Kant, oh man, yeah, his work is really hard to understand. A lot of times the translations aren't so good. Because he's German, as the dialogue indicated, and it's not exactly easy to translate philosophy from one language to another. And he's just grandstanding here. Oh man, the final boss is grandstanding. This is scary. Oh, he's going to start by dismissing the previous philosophers. Ooh, nice. Consequentialist thought naturally violates our pride as men. We must work from intentionalist grounding. Oh man, that's probably a direct quote from Kant. He says stuff like that. There are many things which men covet as good. Yeah, there are many things people think are good. However, a focus on consequences results men to mere means, undermining human dignity. Ah, yes. Translating that would be a difficult thing. In reality, the only thing that's good is goodwill. Thus, we are moral if our will is defined by the intention of doing the moral thing. Oh, no, that's wrong. That's just intentional morality. Okay. Intentionalism is not good, because we've got... Okay, so the consequences of actions don't matter at all. That's right, that's right. That's what he's kind of saying here. They're irrelevant to moral worth. Although, ideally, you would have positive consequences in the world. Right! Okay, so I think the argument most philosophers make on this is that people generally have more than one intention when performing an action. So, like, if I'm playing this video game for 5 different reasons, 2 of them are good and 3 of them are bad, how do we decide whether playing the game is good or bad? Like, what if my good reasons have good consequences, but... You know, the example of, I do something good for bad reasons. So I donate money to charity to make myself look good, so I can brag about it. Well, that's not very good, because I'm being mean and selfish, but I am doing something that's good overall. I'm donating to charity, and that's the sort of problem we get into when we ask about intentionalism. So a focus on consequences merely reduces men to mere means, undermining human dignity. I'm not sure why human dignity comes into this. But he's saying it's like, well, we can't focus on the results, because that was what Mill was saying. It's like, if it promotes overall happiness, if the end result is good, then that action is good. Whereas Kant is saying, whoa, 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 we need to have intention built on it. If he goes to the point where he's saying intention is the only thing that matters, I think that's a mistake. We need to have intentions and consequences, because I can try to do I think what's the funny example is somebody who's trying to do bad things but always ends up doing good things by mistake, like a cartoon villain. There's also somebody who's always trying to do something good but accidentally does something bad and seems to mess up a lot, which is not as funny of a situation. But in those situations, the intention is the important thing and not the actual end result. Alrighty. So he's just saying it's all intention. Okay, so goodwill is just good without qualification. Yeah, not to like bring religion into this, but Jesus touches upon this point in the Gospels talking about good intentions, where he says it's like, okay, so what if you're good to your family members? You know what? You know who else is good to their family members? Evil villains. Evil villains are good to their family members. That doesn't make them good. You know, somebody can be an evil murderer, and just because he's nice to his own kid, that doesn't make him any less evil. Okay, Jesus didn't say it quite that way, but that's the moral argument he was making. He's also making the point that, you know, if you treat different people differently, I mean, you know, some people are only good to their friends and not good to their enemies. And that's why Jesus says you should love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. Okay, so I think I've talked enough philosophy here. Let's actually get to the point of the game, which is ask all these questions. So let's clarify here. It is very simply stated, men like things that are good. Ooh, I like his point that society is disorganized, though. Yeah, because he's right. You know, people don't always agree on what's good. So some people say, hey, that, you know, piety is good. Some people said, happiness is good. Some people said, well, as long as I can live secure and know that my neighbors aren't going to kill me, then that's good. That's what Hobbes was saying. Yeah, so that's a problem with morality, is we need to account for the fact that people disagree on what's good. Yeah. I generally think it's like, well, if people disagree on what's good, then I think some people are just wrong. Some people think something's good when it's not good. Some people think something's bad when in fact it's actually good. That seems to be the most likely situation to me, because people tend to screw up a lot. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a screw up. You know, I have not screwed up to the point of losing this video game though, so that's a little gold star for me. Okay, so getting caught up in the various ends. If we're only focused on happiness, social construct, we kind of lose sight of what's most important. If you only focus on the goal, oh man, we're cogs in the machine. The ghost in the machine, as it were. That's, I forget who described that, but that was the soul. They say the soul is like the soul is like a ghost in the machine, because the human mind is basically a computer. I believe you've actually discovered this yourself, Socrates Jones. So, utilitarianism. By saying, hey, happiness is the goal of life, well, it ignores human rights and dignity. Hobbes says, well, morality is security. Well, then how much do we sacrifice for security? No, they were just looking in the wrong places. They're all looking for friends in all the wrong places. Yeah, you don't want a philosophy that treats people as a means to an end. I think that was one of Kant's golden rules, right? That you can't treat other people as a means to an end because that undermines their own dignity. So if I'm simply using other people, that's not good. Let's go to statement number 3. goodwill is always good. Well, I mean, come on, that's arguing the premise, though. It's goodwill because it's good. Well, of course, it has good in the word. Like, good is... The word good is in the term goodwill, so it's kind of circular to say, hey, goodwill's good. Well, yeah. That's like saying basketball has baskets. This is a tricky statement saying you can't possibly know the consequences of your own actions. You can have a pretty good guess about the consequences to your actions, although he's probably right that you can't, like, fully know all the consequences of your actions. Yeah. I'm thinking of a philosophical example. Like, if I'm going hunting in the woods, I hear a rustling in the bushes, I'm like, oh, that's a deer, and I shoot it, and it ends up being a person. That's bad. I didn't know it was a person, though, so I really shouldn't be blamed for committing murder. That's an argument people make. But I've also seen the counter-argument that, well, what if the person that I shot is a dangerous criminal who I dislike and I want that criminal to be shot? And so if I had known that person was in the bushes, I would have fired the shot anyway. Like, me knowing it wouldn't have changed my action, but does that change the morality of the action? Alrighty. So, assessing the will is the only way to maintain it. Yeah, no, I gotta say both. It's gotta be intentions and consequences. Consequences play a role in the morality of an action, just like intentions do, too. He makes a good point that a lot of the other philosophers ignored intentions. Yeah, so if I tell Ari she can't play video games all night, that's a good thing to do, no matter how she responds. It's like, Dad, why are you using me as your bad example? Okay, so how's this related? That is my conclusion. Okay, so we're moral if our will is defined by the intention of doing the right thing. As long as we're trying to do the right thing, that means we are doing the right thing. Yeah, to use the example of the person who's screwing up all the time. He's always trying to do the right thing, but he messes up. Ah, the categorical imperatives. Yes, that's it. Oh, that's a totally new concept. But I think, as I said, one of the categorical imperatives is you can't use other people as a means to an end. So he actually listed some of these laws, which are universal absolutes that people must follow in order to be moral. And it was very, very good of him to, like, actually make the list of it. It's like, here are laws that people must follow. You follow these laws, you'll always be good. You'll always be a moral person. And that's great. That's good for people who are, like, confused about, well, do I do... Situations are confusing, and consequences can be confusing, too. Give us objective standards here. The objective standards are the categorical imperatives. Okay, so these are the rules. Certain actions we must always avoid. Yeah. Other actions we should always take. So we should always feed the hungry. And we should always not commit murder. Those would be categorical imperatives. Although I'm pretty sure he had an actual list. Maybe. Oh! He seems a little upset. What's wrong with my beard? Really? Why are you bad-mouthing my beard here, buddy? It feels like Kant's just being a jerk because he's our final boss. And this might be similar to Hobbes's argument that, you know, society has rules that people must follow, and that determines morality. even going back to Euthyphro, like when he's saying, well, the gods created the rules, it's not too different to say we need to follow the rules the gods make, and we need to follow the rules that the king makes, especially if you're in a society like King Louis of France, where he thought he was the god king, and God made him the king. Anyway, yeah. So you can see Kant was a smart guy, kind of taking the good parts of previous philosophers, shaping them a little bit, fixing their problems. So he wanted moral rules that people could follow. Yeah, without the rules to guide us, we'd be lost. We'd be lost. Okay, let's move on to statement number 2. There are certain actions we must always avoid. I feel like this is probably going to be a good one to ask for clarification. Let's get some examples here. Oh, he didn't give any examples. Boo. Let's give many examples. Lying. Oh man, this just sparked a memory of my philosophy class when people are arguing about the idea that you should never lie. You should never lie. Isn't that in the 10 Commandments too? So it's not just a philosophical idea. It's also a religious idea. And the people in class are arguing. It's like, well, it's okay to lie sometimes. And it's hard to make that argument without sounding like, I enjoy lying, and I don't want to give up lying. So I'm going to make, you know, an exception to the rule. So I think people usually, they make up the story. It's like, okay, well, what if somebody, you know, shows up with a gun and says, hey, I'm here to kill your mother. Is she inside right now? And they'd say, well, it's bad if you told the truth and said, yeah, she's right there. That's the example people use to say that lying is good. But, I mean, that's not always the case. Like, you don't have to say, yes, my mom's in the other room. You could also say something like, I refuse to tell you, murderer, get away from my house. That would be a true statement. Yeah. That way you could protect your mother without lying. Okay, and now let's do the positive example. A rule that, something we should always do. Let's hear this backing. Let's hear this example. Help a dying man. Yeah, it's great. Helping other people. That respects human dignity. I like how that's added to our idea slate. It feels like that probably will make this a more complicated battle because we've got lots of things added to our idea slate. So figuring out which idea is right, which one we should be dealing with, yeah, it's a bit more complicated now. Alrighty, let's go to the 4th statement. And we should follow these rules even if he says... let's go back to his previous statement. Let's see if he's finishing. Even if the outcome may seem personally painful, we have no choice but to follow these rules. You can't just ignore gravity. I can! Wait, seriously? You can float? Regardless of emotion or consequence. So, like, I should help a dying man, even if the dying man happens to be my worst enemy. And it'd make me very sad if my worst enemy gets to live and continue ruining my life. I should still help save my enemy's life. Yeah, that would be undermining universal ideals. I think the other one is the easiest one. the easier one of these two examples of categorical imperatives, the never lie, is like you shouldn't lie even if it provides some sort of advantage to you. In fact, that's generally why people lie, is because they feel like it gives them some advantage. But it's like, no, you shouldn't lie. Even if by lying I get $50 million, I still should not lie. It is still wrong. Of course, another question, I believe the game might have touched upon this, is we talk about levels of morality. So, you know, people say some lies are worse than others. And I think that's a statement a lot of people can agree with. Some people say, well, white lies are okay, but big lies are bad. And again, it's hard for people to make that argument without making it sound like, I lie sometimes, and I like lying sometimes, so I'm gonna pretend it's actually okay to lie under certain circumstances to make my own conscience feel better about the fact that I'm a big fat liar. It's a term I coined and assigned. I don't think it's necessary. So I chose the term. It's totally the right one. Alrighty, so now we need to figure out what is wrong with this argument, and I don't know. Nope, I don't understand anything this guy says, ever. Well, back to the top. Was it the third statement that seemed odd? Let's see. No, I feel like one of the statements, the backing he says, is strange. Yeah, there we go. Socrates had a strange reaction to this statement. Yeah, the power of the idea is undermined and no good can come from it. So he must follow the rules regardless of consequence. I feel like that follows... I mean, that's different from the intention-based, right? Because he just talked about consequence, and earlier he was saying everything is intentional. But I'm not sure if these two are the ones. Yeah, I'm not sure which thing I'm going to be fighting. I do think that number 4 is a statement that I should be arguing with. Yeah, I'm not sure that is a contradiction, though, to say that we're ignoring consequence, because earlier he was saying intentionalism, we don't care about the consequences of actions. So, we need to follow these rules at all times, regardless of emotion. Let's go with, never lie, because that seems to be the one that I'm most interested in. I think that's the one I've talked about way more than helping the dead man, the dying man. Hold on just a moment. You say we should never lie, right? Telling the truth is always it's a categorical imperative. Yes, that's the prime example. That's like categorical imperative number 1. That's like morality rule number 1. It would have made more sense if you called them morality rules, right? Uh-oh. In most situations, lying is immoral, yes. There are some situations where the truth can be deadly, where lying might be the better thing to do. Sheltering fugitives, like if there's a murderer at your door wanting to kill a person inside your house, then, yeah, it's probably best to lie to the murderer and stop the murderer from killing the person inside your house. I don't know what he said. He was speaking in German there. Oh no, are we adding qualifications to the thing when he said qualifications are bad? Oh man! I feel like our buddy Kant is saying that you should never lie under any circumstance. Even though there are some circumstances where it seems like you should lie, I think he would still say it's best not to lie.
Nonsense!
Wait, is that it? I thought he was going to come back with an explanation of what we do when the various imperatives seem to disagree with each other. Like, for example, say we have to lie about helping a dying man. What do we do then? What do we do then? If I have to lie in order to help a dying man, what kind of situation would that be? Huh. I'm not sure it's morning here. It's... yeah, I like morning walks. So your counterpoint is false. You shouldn't lie, that's still a universal truth. Despite your objections, there's no doubt that lying is immoral. Yeah, he's seriously standing by his argument here. The consequences are irrelevant. It's only the intentions. So if you become too concerned about an individual scenario, that undermines the sanctity of thought. Once a maxim fulfills the universality test, it's a categorical imperative. Oh man, let's hear about the universality tests. This seems like it'll be fun. So how do we figure out what are these categorical imperatives? How do we figure out what are these rules of morality that everybody must follow? Here's his answer. So, you have to imagine a world where everybody follows that rule. Everybody follows that rule. Does that create a contradiction or an irrationality? Well, in that case, it's a bad rule. Yeah, I think this has been used with the example of lying. Like, if you make a rule where people can lie sometimes, if a world where I don't know. Let's keep going with this. Let's see, hopefully he'll give an example of a rule which fails the test and a rule that passes the test, because I feel like that would be the springboard to go up against. A world in which everybody lies all the time. You wouldn't be able to trust anybody in such a world. Alright, let's hear the backing. No, let's see if he gives an example. Okay, let's get an example. Yeah. Your maxim defeats itself. Ooh, new statement. Irrationality would create a bad world. Not necessarily a contradictory world, just a worse world. So those are two ways we can fail the universality test. Good. Glad he pointed them out. Now we've got two more statements. So let's go with backing. Yeah, so I mean, a rule of morality, if it contradicts itself, that's bad. If it's irrational, then that's also bad, and that's true of morality. That's true of just like laws in general. If a law is irrational, it probably shouldn't be made into law, right? I wouldn't mind taking a test where you can't fail. Alrighty, so let's see an example of these contradictions. Oh, give us a firm example here, buddy. Yeah, it's the example of lying. It's okay to lie if if it's good for me, if I get a positive result from it. That's what a lot of people are saying when they're trying to say, well, lying's bad, but I lie sometimes. It's okay for me to lie. Like, yeah, I don't know about that, buddy. So, if everybody followed that rule, if everybody lied only when it suited them best, you wouldn't be able to trust anybody ever. Yeah, Kant just really hates lying here. I guess a lot of people lied to him and he was really, really mad about it, so that's why he does not like liars. Like, imagine a world where you are the only person in the world who's capable of lying. Whoa. That'd be kind of wild. Of course, it's also the case that somebody can tell a lie by accident. Like somebody misremembers something, or they're incorrect about something. Like, you know, I forget what happened at the end of the movie, and then I rewatch the movie and say, oh, that's not what I remember. Well, I mean, I was lying earlier, but I wasn't trying to. Stealing. Yeah, stealing, if everybody stole whenever they wanted, that would be bad. Thou shalt not steal is considered like a universal imperative. People say stealing is always bad, but people always use the argument of, it's like, what if I'm stealing bread to save my starving family? I'm trying to get some bread for my starving family. Isn't that good? I remember somebody used that on me. Use the movie Aladdin as an example there. It's like, well, Aladdin was just stealing food to prevent himself from starving. It's like, yeah, but then he also trained his monkey to steal things. That's very intentional. Like, he's not planning on reforming. He is planning on stealing from people all the time. Okay. So what are we doing here? Yeah, what do we do now? This just keeps getting more complicated. I was confused by what Kant said earlier, and now he's going through like another hoop to explain the things he said earlier. And he's got more terms that he completely made up on his own. These are not terms that other people said. Oh dear. Layer after layer of chocolate cake. Oh, I hope he's making a chocolate cake. That would be great. So for contradiction, the maxim can't be moral. Contradictions are maxims which are inconsistent with themselves or just irrational. So, I think we have to say that his face is ugly. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure that's just a joke. Let's save our game here. Save. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Does main menu take us back? Is this in fact the final chapter? I don't know. It looks like there's room for more chapters. So clarification, backing, challenge, and then... So this just tell us what we're supposed to do in order to proceed with the argument. We challenge argument number 3. We back argument number 2. Interesting. Well, Good, let's continue. Oh no, it got rid of, well, I mean, I did clarify back and did relevance on everything. But in this case, I needed to ask about number 3, right? Let's see. Yeah, okay, I needed to ask about number 3 to get 2 new statements. I don't know what the problem is here. Irrationality makes a world that would be worse for the wearer. So if I ignore a dying person, yeah, it would be a terrible world if we just let people die without trying to help them. Like if somebody broke their arm and they're just left for dead, that would be a terrible world. So I think that's what he's saying with the lying thing, though. So he said lying. So if I use lying, like, yeah, lying is not, Oh, I am scared to, like, make a guess and get it wrong, because then I'd look really stupid if I did such a thing. Oh, hey. That gives a list of every, I didn't realize this game had a transcript function. Okay, so let's make a decision. Lying or helping the dying man? Okay, let's see if, does lying is always wrong, does that contradict any of his statements? Then I'll go through with dying man. So lying is always wrong, doesn't contradict that. Doesn't contradict that. Doesn't contradict that. Let's see, if a contradiction or irrationality arises, the maxim can't be moral. Contradictions, when they're inconsistent with themselves. Intentionalities. I feel like because neither of these things, like the lying and the helping the person, neither of those are like inconsistent with themselves. They'd have to be an irrationality. So maybe I'm supposed to help the dying man here, but I don't know if that works. Because all moral systems must be intention-based. I need to intend to always do the right thing. And the right thing is rational. I don't know, let's try presenting this third statement, not the final statement.
Nonsense!
I've been thinking, you said an irrationality is something that would cause the world to be worse for the wearer. Is help a dying man, does that create an irrationality? I'll admit that helping dying people, that's great. That would be good. But the fact is, more often than not, we can't help people. And actually trying to help dying people sometimes makes things worse. I think an example is like a drowning person. If you're not a trained lifeguard trying to help a drowning person, oftentimes you don't help them. This is a frequent problem in emergency medicine. Blind obedience to a rule sometimes causes more problems than it solves. I don't know, wouldn't that lead to like another categorical imperative is try to do something even though you have no idea how to do it? Because that seems like it'd be taken into account if you're trying to think of things. Like one of the imperatives that doctors are required to follow is do no harm to a patient, right? And so if you're going to do something which probably results in harm, then you shouldn't take that action. Wow, help a dying man is removed from the idea slate. So that invalidated the example, not his argument. Stopping Kant isn't that easy. So long, validation. I'll miss you. Well, then are we going to have to get rid of irrationality as well? Actually, these are the same 5. Okay, no. So I'm so confused here. Okay, so what happened? That didn't get rid of any piece of testimony. That just got rid of one of these things here. So never lie. So let's see if never lie is wrong. Never lie wouldn't create an irrationality. So I guess we'll say the never lie is a contradiction in and of itself. I feel like he said never lie because it's an irrational. But if we ask him for backing here, he specifically says don't lie. Let's see. I'm still not following this argument here. So, if everybody thinks it's good to lie for your own gain, the advantage of lying only comes when you deceive people, but everybody lies, so nobody's going to be fooled. I know you're going to lie to me, therefore you can't fool me, and that creates a contradiction. Ah, okay. Yeah, this is more complicated. Back to the top. I feel like maybe this would be a point to say the intentionalism, because intention-based, but this is the morality. Oh, it looks like I made a wrong argument. I lost credibility. Oh no. Yeah, totally stuck here. This might be a case where I just need to, like, save my game. And then just hope to get it right. So let's see. I think we're probably going to have to get rid of the statement never lie. Never lie. So how can I get rid of that? Get that statement removed from the list of statements I can make by trying to contradict it. Imagine a world where everybody never lies. That'd be a great world, yeah. I feel like I'm probably gonna say never lie at statement 4 or statement 5.
Nonsense! Nonsense!
Alright, he really doesn't like the, okay, so let's try never lie with this one. Yeah, so Kant is trying to say, no, you're talking about situations, I was talking about a world. Well, he didn't lose credibility for any of those things. Let's try never lie again. Try challenging never lie here. Oh, that was the senseless counterpoint. Oh dear. Man. So I did never lie on 4 and 5. And on number 2. Maybe number 3? Yeah, and I didn't do never lie on number 1. And like never lie doesn't fail the test here. So in that case, we're probably going to have to use the intentionalism. I already tried intentionalism on statement number 1. I guess I could try intentionalism on number 2, but I don't feel like that would be right. Yeah. This is... yeah, I failed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I can't do this. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think I found it. Hooray! What's the one thing from the very beginning of our discussion you emphasize above all else? Intentionalism. What we're hoping for, what we desire, what we will is more important than, what we make. That's a weird way of putting it, Mr. Kant. Okay. Checking for irrationality sounds a lot like assessing the consequences. He's got a point. Yeah, that is checking the consequences of actions. I see. This is not on my agenda. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's just saying the universality test would fail itself. That's a pretty grand statement. No, he screams. Have my constructs thrown into question? Check. Good job. I'd be lying if I said you hadn't given me much to think about. Perhaps being quiet for another decade will help. Yes. Goodbye. So is it over? Did we finally stop him? Great! He was the final philosopher, yes? No! We've still got chapter number 6. Whoa! What else is there to discuss?